It's Saturday, and you guys are not expecting to see my face because we didn't have a scheduled episode. But you know what? This is a big game. This is a big week. I am Tuna from First and Tuna Podcast. Joining me for the first time, but not the last time, we call him FootballByNikko across all his social media handles. Make sure you follow him on these socials because you're going to love him by the end of this episode. One of the smartest young individuals I've met. I actually met him at training camp at the RAMS. This dude is 22 years old. He already had credentials. Like, he's beating me by 11, 12 years in my process. So congratulations on that, man. Everybody welcome Nicholas. We're going to dive deeper in some Rams Eagles. How you doing, man? I'd say good morning, but it feels closer to afternoon than morning.
We're just on it today. We're ready to go. We're excited for tomorrow. Ready to see what's happening.
Dude, what's going to happen is a Rams win. And we got Chris in here too. What's up, Chris? How you living, man? Yeah. You and I have been talking this week. What are we diving into? I know you mentioned something about Stafford's time to throw. What do you want to kind of lay the landscape of some numbers that you're looking at and what we might look at today?
Yeah. So I'm really a proponent of someone that likes to go into like stuff like average depth of target, which basically is like how far the quarterbacks are throwing down the field. For Hurts, it's really low. I think his average depth of target is just 4 yards. So he's throwing it like 4 yards on average every single time he touches the ball. Matthew Stafford has an 8.8 yards per attempt. He's trying to take a little bit deeper shots, but across the league as a whole, like the two-shell defense has really just kind of made the opponents want, or the offense is trying to like dink and dunk, little quick throws, screens, out routes, just stuff like get the ball in the wide receiver's hands, let them make a play, let them make yards after the catch. I think that's what the Rams really been trying to do, and I think maybe we'll see a little bit of Tutu this week. We saw a little bit of him last week, but I think if the offensive line can hold up versus Philly's defensive line, you might see a little bit more deeper shots.
That is, I'm surprised that question hasn't come up sooner for a lot more fans. Like, you'll see it here and there with people saying like, oh, because they pay Tutu, $10 million. And I am never a proponent of pocket watching guys. Like, Tutu could be paid $100 million and I'm a root for him because, yeah, make your money. These organizations make way too much money. Set up your family by all costs. He could sit the bench the entire year and I wouldn't care. That's, his prerogative to make as much money as possible. I mean, but what is going on with that? Because it's like another year and we're yet to see the deep threat that they intend Tutu to be. Do you think it is the coverages, that too high safety that all NFL teams are basically employing right now?
I think it's a couple of things. I feel like because we saw 2 years ago when Kupp was out and it was just him and Puka were the starting two, we saw that he had a really good game against Seattle. And I think that the Rams were kind of hoping that if they ever need to kind of put him into the offense like that again, that he could kind of produce the same. But I think when you look at Tutu, he's not a guy that's huge. I think he's around 5'10", 5'9". He's a small guy, skinny guy. He's not going to be able to like really just be physical with someone, so he has to win with his speed. And I think that when you have those defenses that are really just trying to keep everything in front of him, speed is something that gets taken away. I mean, look at Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill really hasn't just been himself. So I think speed is something that defenses are trying to take away. And we can thank the Mahomes Chiefs for that, and the entire NFL just trying to adjust to passing.
Oh, seriously.
I think that when you pay a guy, especially that amount too, you're not going to just sit on him the entire year and not try to use him. I know that they could have just let him walk really easily. And I know when we were at camp, like Jordan Whittington was a guy that we were like, he's going to be doing well this year. And so far he's looked better than Tutu has.
Definitely gotten more playing time. And I think that has to do with them wanting to employ more 12 personnel when you're mixing how McVay does between 11 personnel and 12 personnel. And for people who forget which one's which, when you hear people say 12 personnel, it just means 2 tight ends. So when you're playing Madden, you run like that deuce personnel and you're trying to run off tackle, you get tight ends on either side. That's 12. 11 is your standard 3 wide receivers, which I'm assuming most people use in NCAA and Madden, that and 4 wides. I think when they're trying to do that more and switch in between and try to make things look the same, it's easier to do that with someone like Jordan Whittington, because I think I think he's just a better blocker than Tutu because of size. He's closer to Puka than he is to like a true slot receiver. And I highlighted a play in the All-22 this week where that Corum run, and everyone's like, yeah, that was a great 16-yard run. That guy who tackled him, if Tutu Atwell just does a standard stock block, like he could just stand in the way, Corum's scoring. But because he kind of goes in and just, lays 165 pounds of, just flopping at him, the guy bounces off of him and makes a tackle. So I wonder if that does have to play. I didn't mean to open this episode slandering Tutu like that, but I do think that's more indicative of McVay's usage and play calling than it is on Tutu's skill set. Because I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Zay Flowers, Hollywood Brown, Tyreek Hill. He's in that range of guys that can be super productive, and he's talented. I think it's on McVay to use him the right way. But you did bring up something. I did mention it in our matchups this week. So people who like reading, I'm doing a shameless plug. Every Thursday, every morning, we do post something called 5 Matchups That Matter. And it is up on your screen here. It's on our Substack, 5 Matchups That Matter. Because everyone does like a general, hey, here's a prediction. Here's a general overview of the game. But for a lot of people who, they love the Rams, they love football, but maybe there's parts of it they don't understand. I don't get why is it important to see Jared versus a left tackle. Like, I don't get why that's important. Well, we try to dive deeper into it. And 2 of our matchups, I think, match up with what Nico here was messaging me about. Is here at the bottom. I talked about Stafford versus Fangio. And I mentioned how Stafford's job isn't just to score points. It's twofold. It's avoid turnovers and sacks against a very, very talented Eagles defensive line, and to stay ahead of the sticks and put them in bad field position. Because even if we're not scoring, the offense needs to advance and keep good field position to make the Eagles do long drives and not start at the 40 or the 50. And something you mentioned, so circling all the way back to our main topic for today, is Stafford's time to throw and his average depth of target. And I'm interested to hear what you say about it, because the numbers don't make sense almost from my eye. And I'm not good at reading these charts. Like half these charts, like DVOA, expected points average, like I don't understand half the shit. Like I look at the chart and I'm confused as hell. From what I'm seeing, it looks like Stafford has some of the least time to throw, but his target depth is longer than most guys. Like you said, about 8 yards. So is that just on him, like just getting rid of the ball before he's getting hit and pressured? It seems like he's compensating for the lack of pass protection. Is that how you're seeing it, or what do you?
Yeah.
Take the stage, man.
Usually
you're more knowledgeable than me.
I found that stat like a couple of years ago when I was doing fantasy football articles, and that really helps to kind of see how guys are being used in their offensive schemes and everything. Because last year, for example, Anthony Richardson led the league in average depth of target. And that just means he was just like slinging it like down the field. Didn't care whether he completed it or not. That's just like where they're targeting on the field.
Yeah.
So let's just say quarterback drops back. Right now it's Jordan Love. Jordan Love's average depth of target is 13.4 yards. So that just means anytime Jordan Love touches the ball, his average like yardage on his targets is 13.4 yards.
Okay.
So Stafford right now is at 13 in the NFL with 8.3. So he's kind of average, but Jalen Hurts is 26th, it looks like. So he's really just trying to take those like dink and dunk throws. Their wide receivers also haven't really been involved as much. And I was looking at Forbes versus AJ Brown.
Where can I pull it? Do you have a link for that, or where can I pull this up at? Because I'd love to put it up on the screen too.
Yeah, I'll drop that in the chat right now. That's the offensive stats. You can look at all the EPA.
Okay, so I was on the right page at least. Let's see. I just couldn't find the stat. Boom, boom. There we go. Average depth of target. All right. So if you guys are only listening, up on the screen, this is it Sumer or Summer Sports? One or the other. Summer Sports, average depth of target, and that is, as it sounds, when Stafford is attempting a pass, how deep down the field is that person? Yeah, Jordan Love has been killing it, like you said, 13.49, like leading by far. Holy crap. means every attempt, like on average, his attempts are at 13 yards. Like he's getting a first down on like every attempt. So what are you making of that? So I know you said 8.13. It's above league average considering his pressure rate or his he has
a lot of the times it's scheme. A lot of the times you have offenses that are really just going to try to sling it down the field. But I feel like when you look at that stat, it also kind of indicates, like you said, pass protection. Is the quarterback going to be holding onto the ball long enough to even make a play downfield? And then just like how defenses are playing other teams too. Like I mentioned before, it's like Hurts, he's just kind of like throwing the checkdowns, throwing the real short routes, and that's just how they play offense. They want to chew the clock. They want to like get down the time and just like kind of eat away the whole game, like running the ball as well. So I think that kind of just tells you the whole story of their offense kind of in one simple stat.
Is there any way to look at against opponents, like what the Eagles defense has been allowing in regards to these form, or do they not have that, you think?
We can go, they check the defensive side of it and see. Yeah, so defense, the Rams are top 6 in average depth of target. The Eagles are 27th with an average depth of target of 10 yards.
So teams are trying them. So they have a sack rate of 2.74. They're not getting to the. They have a low sack rate. Expected EPA versus the pass.
Yeah, so those are pretty much just fancy like stats on how good they are against the pass or the rush.
Are you familiar with EPA?
Somewhat. It's EPA, I think, is more of a defensive stat than it is an offensive stat, but they use it as an offensive stat. It's basically expected points added per drive. So it's like if you were to, it's a per drive stat, I believe.
So you want negative point as a defense. You want negative points because this is saying they're stopping people. Like they're not expected to score. Okay.
Yeah. As a defense, you want negative EPA, and as an offense, you want positive EPA.
Gotcha. Okay. Rams are third best with minus 0.2, which is great. We have some interesting comments here. Stockton Slap 209. I can't remember. I feel like I know who this is too. Does anyone love to smell their own farts? I bet you didn't think I was going to post it on there, huh? You can ask. I'm not even going to say what I want to. But no, I don't. He says Rams 33, Eagles 13. I will, if the Rams win by 20, I will I will take my shirt off wherever I'm watching the game and run through the facility and post it online. I will do that. Okay. Yeah, you can hold Stockton Slap. You can hold me accountable on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever. If I need to have done that if the Rams win by 20.
This feels like one of those games where it's going to be like a 20-17, 27-20. Like it's going to be real close, I feel like, and it's going to be fairly low scoring is my prediction.
I think so as well.
It's always like when the Chiefs play the Bills and it ends up being like one of those scores, 20-17, 27-20, or some combination of that where it's just like a one-score game.
Who did the Eagles play their first two games? Do you know at the top of your head?
They played the Cowboys in the opener, and then they played the Chiefs.
Cowboys have a better pass offense than people anticipate. Yeah. I'm just trying to see how this is because opponents matter too, man.
Yeah, definitely.
The Rams, I feel, is a little bit slighted high, and I'll be unbiased here. I think when you're facing a team like the Titans, who have a lot of problems, it's going to make you look a little bit more favorable. I think that the Eagles, in reality, are a little bit stronger in this category here. Pass yards, completion percentage. What'd you say? Am I an internet plant? Brother, if I was a plant, do you think I would be at 700 something subscribers on YouTube? Bro, you think I'd be driving at Amazon right now if I was at Amazon plants? Come on, man. And Chris says there will be photographers on standby for that. I know you will. Chris, damn you. Okay. And then what about time to throw? I do want to talk about that with you because it ties into we have the Steve Avila injury. He is doubtful for Sunday. Unfortunately, this marks the, I think, 7th or 8th game that Steve Avila will have missed in the last 3 years. I believe. I think I'm right on that.
That sounds about right, because I know even when we were at training camp, I know McVay was saying, like, I know at some point we're going to have, the depth be tested on the offensive line. And they're teams that usually play their starters for the entire season. That's what all the teams would want to do. But I know usually you get like 1 or 2 guys rotating in and out. And looking at time to throw here, Stafford is top 5 lowest. So he's just Jake Browning, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Stafford at 2.55 seconds.
At the go ahead on the I'm not sure if you have us full screen here on StreamYard. At the bottom, you can hit present or invite. Yeah, if you got it, bro, go ahead and pop it up.
Let's see. Yeah, you see that?
There we go.
Yeah, so he is top 5 and the lowest. And Jalen Hurts is sort of towards the top 10 longest. He's what, 1?
Yeah, it's a tell. There's your next gen stats. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it matches the film too. Because if you're watching the last 2 games, it has seemed like I can't remember too many plays outside of a handful of play action passes where they've really tricked the defense and they're only bringing 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Where Stafford's just been sitting back in the pocket like 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. It's like no one's open. It seems like everything just has been on schedule. Like even his 7-step drop that he hit Puka on for like a 30-yard gain last week, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 throw. Like it was just on schedule versus counter narrative to Jalen Hurts. Like I just saw a clip the other day where he was sitting back there for like 6 seconds and no one was open. So it's like a tale of opposite things where it's like he's having the time, but it seems like no one's getting open for whatever reason. Luckily, guys are getting open in bunches between Puka and Tay. But what the hell's going on? Is it the interior? Like, what the hell's going on with the pass protection right now? Because it hasn't been as phenomenal as I think as we've wanted to start the season.
I don't know, but I think they were bottom 3 in like composite pass protection, which is I forget what site or outlet does that, but they do like a combination between ESPN's pass block win rate, run block win rate, and then PFF grade. And they were like bottom there with the Titans for the first 2 weeks. And I think that that's a side effect of just like you're facing 2 really good fronts to start the year. Texans really good front. Titans are like pretty good. I would say they're above average. They have Simmons, they have Oladejo, they have some of those pretty good pass rushers. So I think it's probably a product of just you're facing like a really good pass rush. But at the same time, I haven't really seen any play where I'm like, oh man, the offensive line kind of sucked on that one, But I think that's also the result of Stafford being, one of the quickest guys to throw it too.
And it's not just so I'll add my opinion to that because as you're talking, it's starting to make a little bit more sense to me. I think we'd be panicking if Stafford was taking more sacks. And I'd be panicking if the ball wasn't coming out. Like if he looked unprepared. But when you're watching these last 2 games, even despite the apparent numbers and pressures and rush, it's like he's aware of it. Like they prepared for it. So it does seem like they've been aware how the first 2 or 3 weeks is going to go. Like, hey, man, you're not going to have a lot of time. Like, we need shit to hit right now.
And going back to what we said earlier, too, like that's also why Tutu probably hasn't been involved. Because when you have a speedy guy like that, you can't really expect him to win his route except for like just like long crossers or just any way to just get him open down the field. But that takes time to develop these like longer developing routes. And if you have only 2.55 seconds, it's not going to really happen.
Did we just solve all the questions that Rams fans like? That's it. Like, there's no more questions. We solved it all. We did it.
We did it.
We solved football, Nico. We did it.
Get this to Sean McVay before Sunday's game.
I'm gonna email from Sean McVay like, shut the fuck up. Stop telling people that we know what we're doing. I heard something wild, like random anecdote. Pat McAfee show, they're talking to Mike McCarthy, and I don't know how much validity this is to it, but McCarthy was saying how some teams don't believe in implementing keys and hot routes against the blitz, especially for young quarterbacks. And I need to look at this. I don't know if you knew anything about it, but am I learning in 2025 there's teams that don't have a structure for hot routes against the blitz? Is that why so many of these rookies are just struggling against, or second year guys are struggling when once teams have film on them? Like, if you don't know what a hot route is, like Stafford does it all the time. Hey, come out, there's a play, maybe he's got a few digs, he's got a corner, he's got deeper routes. Oh, but he comes out, he knows I got 6 guys rushing. I know this linebacker on my left side is blitzing. I don't have the protection for it, but there's going to be a vacated zone. So with my hot route in our system, I'm going to alert, let's say it's Puka in the slot. He now knows, scratch what we had. You're going to run a slant where this guy is leaving the zone to blitz. It's an empty spot. It's a hot route. Mike McCarthy made it sound like some teams don't do that. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing then? Have you heard this at all before? Are you aware of this?
That's the first time I'm hearing it, but now that you said that, it kind of does make sense that like when young guys just like don't see their first read open, they kind of just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? So that kind of does make a little bit of sense now that hearing that, but I'm clueless as to why that would be the case for young guys, especially when you're trying to coach up a guy and be like, okay, if you don't have someone open down the field, check down to the running back or check down to your tight end in the flat. Like, why would you not do that? That doesn't make any sense.
We got I'm just catching up. Sorry, Stockton Slap. I had full screen on. Some of these I'm not gonna put at all. But yeah, some good comments. I'm just gonna catch up here. Why do we pay Tutu Atwell if we don't use them? I mean, I think Nico just kind of answered that, and I'm not gonna just agree with you just because you're on here, but I think there's validity to that. They came in with a game plan like, hey, ball's got to come out. We're not going to have a lot of chances for deep shots. Otherwise, Stafford's probably taking more sacks. Combine that with a brand new center in Coleman Shelton, who his PFF grade, even though I don't just trust PFF outright like that, his pass blocking grade has been low. Yeah, rotating left guard already 2 games in, where we're seeing our third starter or third player there between Limmer and Dedich, and a left tackle who didn't really participate most of training camp. So you got a lot of problems on the offensive line already. You're just not going to take deep shots like that. So unfortunately, Tutu is a victim of that circumstance. He said, and McVay passes 4 straight times inside the 5-yard line. I'm going to lose my shit. I did for a second, but then he was throwing it to Adams, who I have on fantasy, and I was like, all right, I appreciate you.
Yeah, I think I noticed about Devontae last week because Devontae outsnapped Puka by like 20%. I think Puka was at like 60. I can double check.
Oh yeah.
He outsnapped him by like a good portion, and I was like, wow, Devontae still got it, even though he's old. People say he was washed, but he still got it.
Well, like you said here, you spread the ball around. Overusing Puka's gonna get him hurt. MJ talked about it yesterday. He's a top 5 receiver as long as he's healthy. When you use him the way that we do, as tough as he is, like we've seen it already, man. He already got, sliced on the face in the first game. He lowers his head a bunch. He's in the mix. He's never going to go down the first hit. So yeah, he can get hurt. He was hurt last year.
Yeah. And
speaking of MJ, I won't call it disrespectful. I call it like real. Like it's the same way you talk to your boys. Like I'm sure you got a group chat where you're calling whatchamacallit, you calling the Niners trash, this and that. That's a former division rival for him. It is what it is. He called it, to his respect, he called his own cornerback burnt toast as well. So I got no problem with it. He kept it real, but we'll come back to him Sunday night if the Rams win. And I know I'm burning through the chats here. Just because Tutu hasn't caught passes doesn't mean he's not affecting the game. The deep clear out helps underneath. I agree. I don't think I've seen enough film, though, with him on the field percentage-wise to see what his usage rate is. The few times I've seen him on, like I said, his biggest play showing up in a play for me was that attempted run block where his guy made the tackle. But You're not wrong. You don't play a decoy 10 mil a year, but you do pay good backups. So if something happened to Tay or Puka, knock on wood, I bet you they trust Tutu Atwell to run a lot of these routes. And if that was to happen, I wouldn't be surprised if he had a 8-catch, 90-yard and a touchdown game. Wouldn't surprise me at all. You guys are making good points. And I'm glad everyone's kind of saying this in the chat, because it is a feeling like people are like, that 10 million, we could have paid another corner, because look, we don't have a Kello. He's out for the foreseeable future. They could have paid someone else, and people probably feel the same way about Kyron, which I don't agree with. Kyron definitely deserved the money, because he's all pro caliber. I like him, but yeah, the chat gets me going, man. I like this. Let's see here. There was another stat you had for me, I think.
Well, I just, in response to the person that was saying that he runs a lot of deep clear routes, I was just looking at yards per route run, which is kind of similar to the average at the target stat. Basically, it's like, how far down the field does someone's route take them? Number one is a Rams wide receiver, but it's Xavier Smith.
I don't think he got a lot of snaps last week.
Yeah, he only has 3 routes run on here, but he's leading the NFL in 12 yards per route run. Then the next Rams wide receiver is Puka at 4.4, and then Devontae is at 2.6.
You want to pop that up so I can see it too?
Yeah. What share? But Tutu is nowhere to be seen here.
It seems like just not used at all, to be honest.
Yeah, Tutu is nowhere to be seen up here, because you would think if he's running those like deep clear out routes that this number here would be really high, but it doesn't look to be the case. D-Hop is still topping.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he had 2 catches, 2 touchdowns, something like
4
that.
receptions.
4 receptions. Yeah.
Total.
Xavier Smith at number 1. That's a wild stat.
So out of 3 routes run,
I'm gonna send that to him.
His average at the target is 36 yards. Yeah, so they're just sending him deep instead.
That was from the deep pass against the Texans in week 1, which was phenomenal. Yeah, I'm gonna send that to him that he's number 1 in the league right now in average depth of targets. Total EPA.
I good amount too, but I think these 2 guys. I know Remigio is their kick returner, so that's kind of interesting that their Chiefs using their kick returner the same way the Rams are.
Yeah, Tutu Atwell. I would imagine Tutu would be on here. I like that they use Xavier for whatever that game plan was. They use a lot of Xavier, and they use a lot of
Ben Skoranek making an appearance,
and a lot of Jordan Whittington on a lot of these like condensed formations, because they're more willing blockers and they're just more capable blockers.
Whittington is 1.56 average at this target of 14 yards.
Yeah, he did have a big catch, but remember got called back.
I might have missed.
I think Tutu only had 1 target, and that was like the first pass against Tennessee.
Yeah.
It was like a 4-yard route, but
here you go. 134th in the NFL.
Yeah, so that's just
average at the target of 7 yards, but he's only had I think it's 1 route run.
Yeah, for 4. Yeah, that was it was last week. He got hit right as he attempted to catch. It came loose, but it was a flag on the play anyways. So that makes so much sense. Like only 1 ball, Adams Puka, and you get the slide to go around there for it. Yeah, I agreed. Like I said, Smith has vanished, and it changes per game plan. And I kind of hinted at this in training camp.
That's what they're really trying to do.
They want to spread it around, but they don't really. I don't think the receivers care who's like going to get the love on each week. It's going to change each week. Like, yeah, cool. Xavier had that big play. This upcoming week, like we might be just talking out of our ass, and all of a sudden Tutu Atwell has like 3 catches for like 100 yards, and we're just like, oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. It is very game plan dependent. But I didn't want to say this during training camp because it was one of those things like we're not allowed to report on guys' usage. What were the rules? You can't talk about guys' usage, like
injuries,
how many times they're throwing to him, and injuries. I did notice now that we're in season, like I didn't really see a lot of Tutu at training camp. from the day.
No.
Like I
There was
only
a
missed two
couple
days of camp.
I did take note that there was, like, a couple times where Jimmy tried to hit him deep and he just, like, missed it or he dropped it or they just didn't weren't
Oh
able to
yeah,
connect. There's a couple times like that, but not much, like, notable action for Tutu.
it just seems at this point where you're just like everyone's holding their breath every time there is like a pass to Tutu. Um, and I think it was at the joint practice too. The joint practice, I think that happened where he tried to hit Tutu Atwell on a deep route and it just missed him. Yeah, it feels like everyone's holding their breath every time someone throws it to Tutu. It's just like, is this finally when it happens? And that's not good. It's like if it got to the point where every time Karen ran the ball, people held their breath. They're like, please hold on to the ball. Like it's not that bad, but it's starting to feel that way for Tutu. And I feel bad that we're nitpicking because we're winning
Yeah.
and Stafford is succeeding. So the offense is working, but
Yeah, if
we're
this is the problem we have with the team, great problem to have, that we're nitpicking the 3rd, 4th string receiver.
That's true. And to be honest, the only person we haven't seen catch a ball or like attempt to catch a ball is Kanate Mumfield, the 6th guy on the depth chart, the rookie. But if we had to throw him out there because of injuries, I'd feel confident from what I saw at camp. This is the deepest wide receiver room in the NFL. Like I have a clip out there that's going around that people either agree with strongly or hate, that I say Puka is the top receiver in the NFL right now. I strongly believe that. Like you put him up against Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, he's doing a lot of the things that they do as well as them. The numbers back it up. He's top 5 in a lot of stuff. You add the caveat that he can bring that Deebo Samuel element, like you said, 45-yard touchdown off a run. And every time he catches the ball on a screen or a short, like he's not going down off the first guy. Like he is a running back with the ball. All those things combined and how smart he has become reading offenses. Like, yeah, dude, he's a top 3 wide receiver at worst, and I don't think he's 3 or 2. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of what you said is true, but I think where a lot of people tend to underrate Puka is like Stafford is a guy that makes his wide receivers look good, and I think that the Rams scheme just gives a lot of volume to wide receivers. So I think that's where a lot of people tend to like underrate them a little bit. It's like, oh, he's got Stafford just feeding him the ball 8, 10 times a game. That's where I think people kind of feel like he's getting the volume, so that's why he has all the cool stats. But I agree. I think he's definitely minimum top 5.
Glad you agree. And obviously we're biased because we cover the Rams and everyone here is a Rams fan. No respect Puka because he's white. So I mean, I'm not afraid to talk about it. It's true, man. 2021, I remember the conversations a lot online is there's a lot of people that didn't even count Cooper Kupp and still don't to this day, that he was at least a top 5 receiver in 2021, the quadruple crown winner, because he led in yak as well. Like the greatest wide receiver season like we've seen this generation, and people don't give him credit because they just say he's crafty. He's sneaky athletic.
Scrappy guy.
He's a scrappy guy. He's let's go through all the other
Lunch
the
pail
sayings.
guy.
Lunch belt. First guy in the weight room.
First guy in the weight room.
But yeah, it's the same way with the DBs, man. That's why people are focused a lot on Cooper DeJean because he's a white DB. It's like, man, we ain't seen someone like him since Jason Sehorn or Adam Archuleta. It's like, whoa, a white DB. Hold on now. But yeah, it's race in football is it goes both ways, man, because black quarterbacks, people still discount Lamar Jackson as being an intelligent quarterback. It's just like, all right, that's chill the fuck out. Like, what are we talking about? The dude's an MVP. Worried about him not going down and taking big hits. You're talking about Puka? Yeah, we've mentioned that he needs to stay.
Yeah, I think
he needs to talk to Torrey Holt,
because I feel like people weren't respecting Cooper Kupp enough, and rightfully so. Like I feel like he lost a step the past couple of years, so a lot of guys were just kind of like doubling bracketing Puka. So then Adams gives them the ability to kind of shift the ball around a little bit more and be more versatile.
That's true. I want to go back to what you said about, because somebody actually commented that to me. earlier this morning that Puka just has numbers because he has Stafford force feeding him the ball. And
I mean, partially that is kind of true. Like he gets a good 10 targets a game. Not a lot of wide receivers get that amount of volume. And I think their target share between him and Adams was like 30%, something around that. For both of them, which is that's 60% of the offense is just them two. So
yeah, and like I'm glad you're backing up the numbers to it, because I just have I tell people like, hey, like I've played a little bit of football, so like I understand how some guys think, but that was a lifetime ago, and Division II football barely counts for anything. It's not even a real thing anymore. That's been reduced to ashes these days. Okay, so even if he's getting force-fed targets, do you know how much shit has to go right for that to happen? So he's
got to get open to get the targets.
Yeah, like obviously Stafford's got to do his end and throw him the ball. Like, yeah, he's got force feed him targets, but he's open. It's not like he's just throwing it in double coverage and he's somehow getting the ball. And you can say, oh, it's McVay's offense. How many other receivers that have been in here and not had this success? Allen Robinson, DeMarcus Robinson was okay. Van Jefferson couldn't have figured it out. Tutu Atwell, for whatever reason, is not succeeding. But for some reason, a 5th-round rookie out of BYU is exceeding. And the fastest I ran was a 4.8. So you shut the hell up. No, not run a 7.6. I ran a 4.8 one time. And it may have been hand timed. I don't know. What was I saying? Yeah, he's got to catch the ball. So it's not only does he have to understand the offense in real time, the way McVay's system is, he asks a lot of the wide receivers to know what the defense is doing. And they just talked about it this week. Like Puka said, the second the huddle breaks and he's watching the defense alignment, he's having to read stuff alongside with Stafford to know, like, all right, cool, here's our keys, this is what we're doing. And he's on the same page with Stafford. Like, Stafford is if not the smartest quarterback in the league. He's seen everything and he's trusting Puka with the stuff. You got to go and make it happen, man. You don't just accidentally get 1,500 yards your rookie season. And he still was just shy of 1,000 yards last year, despite missing a bunch of games. And right now he's on track where, if he continues this trend, he's going to be top 3 in a lot of numbers and in conversation for Offensive Player of the Year. You don't accidentally do those things. And my boy Nico here has the numbers to back it up. I mean, you can add whatever you want to that.
Yeah, just to what I said earlier about target share. Right now, the top 10 in target share is Jackson Smith and Jigba with 44. Then Devontae's at 35% target share, and Puka's at 33% target share.
Those 5 targets inside the one probably helped Devontae edge him out.
He's also playing more too. And then you get Jordan Whittington at 3%, Tutu at 3%, Xavier Smith at 1%. So basically, it's just like those two are the 1 and 2. I feel like they're what do they always say? 1A and 1B. And that's what the Rams want to do with them this year. And Puka's got 80 yards after the catch. No surprise there. 90% catch percentage, which is crazy. Devontae's at 46. And
that's phenomenal.
EPA, like we were talking about earlier, Puka has an EPA of 23.
Like, what do you?
Leading the NFL by 2 points.
There's nothing more to say. That means every time Puka touches the ball, people expect him to score. Can we stop? So with our last 2 or 3 minutes here, what we'll do is answer this question. Can we stop the push by Cheeky Metro? Yeah, any thoughts on that, Nico?
I was looking at pass rush win rate and run stop win rate on ESPN yesterday, and let me pull this up right now.
Yeah, show us what you got.
That's a really interesting stat, and it's something that's really available to everybody from ESPN. Basically, it just means...
yes, I did Stockton slap. I did it on purpose.
So if you look here, this is
I hate you.
The edge pass rush win rate. Basically, what that means is, for all of these, it's basically on every snap, how well is the player doing? Are they winning that snap? Which means getting a pressure, getting through the linemen. Nick Benito's number 1. And then you have, there's Jared Verse here at 24% pass rush win rate. So then if you go and look at, this is the defensive tackle, no Rams. which is interesting. And then offensive tackle, you got Joe Alt, another LA guy, but no Rams. Interior offensive line, no Rams. So there's that pass rush kind of thing we were talking about earlier with the Eagles pass rush versus the Rams offensive line. You don't have any guys within this like top percentile of win rate on ESPN. The edge run stop. This is where we're looking at to answer the question. Run stop. Jared versus number 2. He is 48% run stop win rate. So that means he's winning 48% of the runs when they run against him. Defensive tackle, you got to get in Puka Nacua, 48%. So for a run stop, they have guys in the top 10 that are really contributing to stopping the run. I think you saw that in the first couple games. Nick Chubb and Tony Pollard are kind of like okay backs. I think Tony's a little bit better. Nick's probably on the latter side of his career. So you're not looking at like elite guys, but Saquon Barkley,
still a 1,000-yard rusher. I mean, it's still a guy who's a pro.
Yeah, that's going to be their focus, is just trying to run the ball down their throats hundreds of times. And I think when you have two guys like this, Puna, that's what they signed him for. I mean, you paid him all that money just to go and like, for this one reason, just to stop the run, because they got decimated by Saquon last year. So they went and got Puka Nacua. Great signing. I watched him with the Chargers a lot. And when he was a Seahawk too, he was pretty good. But I think that their focus is going to be really, let's make Jalen Hurts pass the ball 30 times and make Jalen Hurts beat us, because he is like bottom 3, I think, in like passing stats for the year. Because like I said earlier, he just kind of dinks and dunks the ball. Doesn't really take many big shots downfield. So they're going to try to make him pass 30 times a game, let's say.
Yeah, this is the week where we find out if all those offseason acquisitions like JB Long talked about in the hype video, hey, you brought in Nate Landman, Puka Nacua, you changed a lot of the philosophy you worked on in the offseason with Chris Shula to adjust to the run and gap responsibility. So this is the team. This is the standard. I know it's early. It's September. This is, you know, we lean into the narrative of like, oh, yeah, this is a NFC, this is a playoff rematch, an NFC championship, maybe preview. It could be. Or it could just be like, hey, can the defense fucking knock it out of the park and actually hold Saquon to like regular human numbers? Just not him be superhuman it's a tall task, man. But no, Nico, thank you, man. This is a lot of information. I know you did a lot of this on the fly. We didn't schedule this really well, but for your first time on here, man, I speak for myself and not the rest of the chat, because I don't care what they want. No, I'm kidding. We're going to have you on a lot more with some of this content, because this is really important. You understand this stuff better than I do, and I appreciate it. Before I let you go,
my goal usually when I go into some of these advanced stats is to kind of break it down, like what that means for offenses, what that means for teams, how they group their personnel, just kind of make it a little simpler, because I know there's all these fancy stats people throw around, like you said, EPA and like average depth of target. Those are like, ooh, scary stats. Like you don't know what they really mean, but I think it's really easy to understand once you kind of understand like what offensives do, and then you can look at that stat and go, oh, I know what that means. So that's what I try to do with this.
I mean, I told you straight up, I didn't even know what EPA really was intended for. Before we get out, I will have you plug yourself, because there is, or plug your content, pause. There's some people asking where to find your stuff at.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, I'm going to make you go through, we're going to go through some of these last comments that I missed. Stockton Slap actually had a decent one. He's had a few good ones. Stafford was at the Dodger game. Oh, this can't be honest. What's the game time? I didn't mean to. I meant to click the other one, but that's funny. Has there ever been a black field goal kicker? I know punter. There was Marquez. Was it Marquez Lee? Marquise Lee? No, what's his name?
Marquise Lee is the USC guy.
The punter for the Raiders. They had
Marquette King.
Marquette King. Dude, he was dope. Marquette King was awesome. He had so much. I remember him picking up the referee flag one game and getting penalized for it. In regards to black field goal kickers, not one that I can remember off the top of my head. I know Destroying is trying to break way in the UFL. Like I would love to see it. But I think the way the culture is in just football, kids growing up, black athletes just typically, it's not something that they focus on. That's why you don't see a lot of, at least not marketed, that you see on your screens, like a lot of black soccer players, at least here in America. it just the communities people come from. Like soccer wasn't really big in Central Valley, California for us. So most athletes like want to play football and basketball and stuff or baseball. It's just not really a cultural thing for us. There was another one here. This one's for me. The nickname Tuna. So long story short, freshman year at Humboldt State, they just couldn't come up with a nickname for me because, in a locker room, people have nicknames. It just rhymed with my last name, De Luna. And everywhere I went, someone happened to call me Tuna. And finally, like a few years ago, I just all right, it just keeps happening on accident. I'm just going to embrace it. And where I got first in Tuna from, obviously like first and 10, it made sense. But my favorite rapper growing up was Lupe Fiasco. His label was First and 15. And it was first and 15. It was always stuck in my head. And so I just rolled with First and Tuna. It was like an homage to Lupe Fiasco. Destroying was a flop. Chad Johnson kicked a field goal in a game. I do remember that. And Eric Yarber told me personally when he talks to Chad Johnson, like once every few months, every year, he still refuses to call him Ocho Cinco, even if it's Cinco de Mayo. He won't do it. Tuna is the biggest Marquette King fan. I'm also the biggest Marcel Reese fan. Marcel Reese was a man before his time. He was wasted on the Raiders. And then here we go. Where do we find you at, Nikko? You've done a good job. You're very smart with football. Where can people follow you and find you and support you?
Yeah, so I currently am working for LA Football Network, LAFB Network on all social media platforms. I do social stuff for them and also write a bunch of articles. I actually just published a Tutu piece that was like basically why is he being outsnapped by everybody else? So you can go check that out. I also have a bunch of interviews with Rams players over the past couple of years. I've had the opportunity to, I think the number is 10 or 11 guys from the team. So if you want to check that out, I can provide a link to my Twitter. There's audio and there's also like, if you want to read through the interviews, it's on LA Football Network. You can go check that out. There we go. Tutu Atwell playtime.
I linked it, but now I'm thinking I don't think people can can click it from here. But I will. What I will do, guys, I'll tweet it out. I'll put it on my Instagram story. I'll put a link to his article on LAFB.
Yeah, so
we do
check out articles. You can check out I call it a podcast, but it's really just like me interviewing guys, and then I just throw it up there for audio for people who want to listen instead of read. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, good job, Nikko. Like I said, go follow his work. Hit him up on Instagram. It is FootballByNikko. He's on Twitter as well by the same handle. That is at FootballByNikko, just for people who can't spell like me half the time. That's where you guys can find him at. We've been doing a lot of collaborations with LAFB where we've been hopping on some post-game stuff with those guys. So yeah, Nikko's part of the family. He is a younger, fresher face in the Ramley media pool, the independents group. The independents are rising, and I love it. It's growing. Nikko, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you, everyone. We will catch you tomorrow for some game day shenanigans. Yeah. And as always, go Rams. And just to give you a heads up, man, every time I